Hi everyone, welcome to this fourth day of Improve Your Openings with Sagar. Uh, I'm sorry for the slight delay. Um, Today's going to be a fantastic lecture because we're going to check one of the most critical lines against the Nimzo Indian, which is the Queen C2 variation. And there is a lot of things that we need to be aware of here. But at the same time, it's one of those lines where I have felt that there are so many options that black has. So we'll get to it. But first of all, welcome to everyone who's here. So many people in the chat. Good morning to Anushka Bhatt, Moksh Nair, Sahil Bhatt, Sumed Ramteke, Shivam Chaudhary, Mitansh Agarwal, Girish Bachikar, Murugan, Omkar Brahmabhat, Madhav Ramnathan. Great to have you guys, all of you here. And yeah, what happened to my shoulders? That's the question. Well, usually to do this thing, you need a screen, yeah, like you need a green screen or you need a blue screen, and whatever when you put that up, then it kind of blurs the background. The problem is that I wore a blue shirt and I have a blue screen, so my shirt is also blurred out. I didn't have time to change it, so you have to do with kind of a ghost sagar whom you can see partially the face. It's also fun, yeah, to look at me this way. Okay, so let's begin. Shall we? I hope that you remember all that we have learned, and I hope that you don't find this entire series a bit slow. My aim is not to rush through and show you everything, and then you're like, oh, but something was missing there and something was missing here. It's to be more thorough about whatever we are doing, uh, and I think it'll be useful in general to you. Okay, so d4, knight f6, c4, e6, nc3, bishop b4. This is the Nimzo Indian, and we started off the day one show with bishop g5, Leningrad. Then we looked at a3. Yesterday we looked at lines starting with e3, d5, a3. If you remember this, the famous game between Botvinnik and Capablanca that we looked at from 1938 Avro. And also we looked at f3, d5, a3, which I mentioned as a very interesting sharp weapon where white often tries to play for a win. With this, but queen a5, you don't really rush to take the pawn, and then after e4 you just put your knight back. Castles, there are so many ways to play this position, um, but I suggested knight f6 and then castles followed by knight fd7, queen b6, and if you can win the pawn then great, but if you can't, you play b6 and kind of recover the pawn. Aha, Nikhil, Mascara has contributed, the first person who has contributed to this channel, and he said, "Can please can I be the mod of your channel? I just love what you do." Thank you so much, Nikhil. Very kind of you, and very glad that you want to become the mod. And well, I hope that we can limit the number of people who spam the chat and keep the comments, which are very important. Okay, so what is today's plan? Today's plan is to look at queen c2 move. And now when your opponent plays queen c2, it doesn't seem very scary because he's developing a queen. But thanks to the efforts of Vladimir Kramnik, this move started to become one of the most prominent ones in against the Nimzo Indian. The main point being that this bishop need not be passive on d2. It can go out to g5. Secondly, you play e3, then bishop d3, knight could come to f3 or e2, and overall white's entire structure was quite mm, uh, harmonious. So I'm going to ask you, if you were black in such a position, what are the possible moves here? Like, what would you begin with? What would you play in such a position? What are the options that are available to black? And based on that, we can have a look at some of them. Of course, I have my own favorites in this position, but I would like to know from you as to what would you play. Yeah, d5 stopping e4, says Reginald Robinson. Very right. E4 also controls, Queen c2 also controls e4, says Narayanan Srinivasan. You're absolutely right. c5, says Anish Godse. Very logical move. So let me just make the moves on the board. d5 stopping e4, right. c5 attacking the center, also correct. Uh, Knight c6, yes, that's also a possible move, attacking d4 pawn. Castles is definitely one of the main moves that we are going to look at. Tanisha Boramanikar says that. You are right, Tanisha, it's a good move. B5, says Alvin Bertusen. B5 a little bit too soon. You remember when we had seen B5 in one of our training sessions was after castles, A3, takes, and B5. So that was a small difference. But yes, B5 is one of the options later, not directly. No one plays that. Uh, who else? I think C5, D5, B6. Yes, B6 is definitely one option in this position. Okay, so many options here. I would add that I think we covered almost everything. D5, C5, B6, castles, Knight C6. All of these are possible moves. So I'm going to give you one weapon which is solid, one weapon, sorry, sort of one and half weapon which is solid, and one weapon which is risky, but I think you will like it. So let's begin with the solid weapon first, which is kind of the half weapon, and this is how I learned playing against the Nimzo Queen C2. So this was my game against YVK Chakravarti, and I played castles. YVK played A3. I think there are two main moves here. One is A3 and another one is E4. So we'll look at both of them. A3, bishop takes C3, queen C3, and now go B5. Sorry, not B5, B6. This is what I wanted to do. Pranav, who's contributed 100 rupees, says, what if the opponent plays unorthodox move? Do you still continue with the opening or do you react to his move? Well, in general, if I've prepared it, I'll continue with the opening. But if something is new, then I'll try to look at it based on what the possibilities are in the position. So the idea of b6 is that you can put your bishop on either b7 or a6, but the entire play revolves around this kind of c4 pawn and c3 queen. Because white has developed this queen too soon, what black would try to do is put his pawn on d6, develop the knight to d7, and play c5. Okay, so just imagine that I put my bishop here, pawn d6, knight d7, pawn c5. Then I get my rook to c8 and I start pressurizing the c4 pawn. Shivai Saklani, the reason for giving up the bishop pair is that you get lead in development. You see you're castled, your knight is out, you're going to play your bishop next move, while white has still all his pieces undeveloped, and that's the small gain you get by giving the bishop pair. So you must be quick and you must create play with it. Okay, so in the game, my opponent played e3, although I believe bishop g5 is a good move, and I'll come to it in a bit. So e3, d6, b4. This is a logical way to play. I played bishop b7, knight f3, knight d7, and you can see that I'm actually trying to play as per plan, which is c5 in this position, bishop b2, and after rook c8, I have a lot of pressure down the c file. But already, white is doing quite okay, and after queen c2, I took on d4, and I didn't like my opponent's next move, which was bishop d4. He should have played ed, I think, here. And black is doing okay, but the main point being that if I push b5 or d5, you have c5, and the position looks fine for white. But he took with the bishop, and now I will leave it up to you as to what should black play in this position. Black to move. Tanisha, yes, we can also go any 4 followed by f5. That is a plan. For example, in this position, if you go for this plan with knight e4, queen c2, f5, I believe this is a very logical plan with the idea of rook f6, rook g6, rook h6 trying to attack. But somehow I do feel like it's not the best. But here it could work. I mean, there are many games, and I like this plan. But white has a long-term edge. So if you are not able to kind of get a good attack, then white is going to play bishop b2, rook d1, try for d5, and get a good position. Okay, so let's go back. Knight e4, queen c2, cd, bishop d4, and all the people here who said d5, b5, e5, good job, guys. All of these moves are pretty good, although in the game I did play the move e5, and I like this move. My pawns limit his bishop here. He had to go back, and then I struck in the center with b5, and here black is already pressing in this position. He played queen b3, I took, bishop takes, and now came knight to b6, attacking the bishop. And you can see that although white has the bishop pair, black has the initiative. Black is very quick to create his play, like bishop b5, queen f6, and slowly a kingside attack is coming up. Rook fd1, queen g6, king f2, king f1, because he was slightly afraid of things happening here. And now it's black to move. What would you play here? Black to move in this position. What should black play? Can anyone give me the answer to this? It's a nice move. I'm going very fast, says Abdul Kalam. Okay, I will slow down. Wait. Kishore Hazarika has contributed and says, you didn't answer my question about chess tournament hierarchy. Also, I liked your teaching style, and with your check capture thread, I made personal best of 10 wins in a row. Fantastic, Kishore. Very happy to know that. The hierarchy of events is that you start from, let's say, state level events, or first of all it's local events, then you go to district, then you go to state, then you go to national events. So there is national under 8, under 10, under 12, all these different kinds of nationals in chess, and then you kind of win them, play at Asian championship, then there's also Commonwealth in between, and then you play at world championships, world youth. And once you are past this age category, then there is no real hierarchy. There are rating tournaments in India, and there are international rating events in India and outside India, and people play it to gain rating and make themselves stronger rating wise, also to earn prize money. That's the plan. Okay, all those who said the move rook c2, well done, excellent move. Um Rook c2 is just brilliant. There are many other moves which are strong, but I like this move because I'm attacking f2, and here my opponent figured out that he is in trouble, and so he took, and after knight to g3, this is the discovered attack which wins me the queen. And later on, I went on to win this game. But you can see that the entire play was revolving around the c4 square, and that is the most important thing in this position. I want to show another game which I believe is very instructive also from white's point of view, and you will learn a lot because my opponent was uh, Grandmaster Debashish Das, and he is a very strong player. At that point he wasn't a GM in 2012, but he played d4, knight f6, c4, e6, in c3, bishop b4, queen c2, castles, a3, take, and I played b6. He went bishop g5, which is the stronger move in the position. Now you could play bishop b7 and then e3, d6. The main line is knight e2 now. I think everyone likes to play this. Put the knight on c3 and so on. Like they play it this way. There is a lot of theory here, but I decided in the game to put my bishop on a6. This is already what we have discussed, to put pressure here. And e3 was played. I played d6, the same plan, yeah. Bishop d3, knight bd7, knight e2, h6, bishop h4, and now came the move c5. Um, I think my play has been pretty logical until this point. He went queen to b3. How should I put more pressure on c4? Any suggestions? What do I play? Black to move. Yes, you can play h6 at any point, like you can play h6 whenever required. Okay, all those who want to become a moderator, let's say one at a time. Today we have the first moderator of the channel, which is Nikhil Mascara, and I, you know, this was new to me. I didn't know that you can have moderators for the chat, but I really want responsible ones who can remove people who are just spamming, but keep people who are genuinely giving answers. So that's the reason why I don't want to rush into creating 10 moderators and then making everything go wrong. Yeah. So how do I? Yes, all those who say rook c8, very good, excellent move. Rook to c8 is attacking c4. Sumed Ramteke says, how do you find all these plans in the opening? Well, in general, you have to study them. And if you don't study them, then you have to come up with it on the board. But coming up on the board is never easy because it takes away time, and also you don't know what will work and what will not. So in this case, I knew that you should put pressure on c4 pawn, and you can see that although white has caught up in development with all his pieces out, he's still a little bit away. And I'm using that time to create some pressure like CD, ED, and then play E5 so that the C5 square would become weak, and then my knight could jump in and then take this bishop, and then C4 would. So, all these little tricks I'm trying for before he can finish his development. Okay, queen a4 was played, and now I took cd, and this was an interesting move. He can't take the bishop yet because my knight jumps to c5 and I will pick up his bishop. So he played the move ed, and I played knight to b8. Rook went to d1, queen d7, because a queen exchange would help me. I would start attacking c4 even more. So he played queen b4. And now my next question to you is, how would you play in this position? Black to move. Uh, Nero Veneti, I played my knight to b8 because I didn't want to move my bishop and then a7 would hang. So that's the reason why I played knight b8. Knight c6, then just queen d2 perhaps, or knight c6. Knight c6 looks okay. Yeah, I think the main reason why I didn't go for knight c6 was maybe queen a4 and then knight b8 back perhaps, and then perhaps queen b3. That's what I didn't want him to improve perhaps, but that could have been the best way to play. um, I do believe that in such positions I played the move d5, which I didn't like, because after bishop f6, dc4, um, this is what I had prepared actually to attack him. But he went bishop b1, and after gf6, it was a good position, but my king was slightly weak, and then he came with his knight here and created some threats, which is not the end of the world, but better would have been to just play instead of d5, g5. And such moves, we are always very afraid of making such a move because we block the bishop, and somehow after bishop g3 we feel that our king side has become slightly weak. But it turns out that after d5 you have lot of play in the position, and he must play, say, cd. You play bishop d3, rook d3, and now queen d5 attacking the g2 pawn. So after castles, knight c6, queen d2, knight e4, queen d1, f5, it seems like black is doing fine. Lot of activity here, and black has a good position. Yeah, Anish Adiga mentions a good line actually here, which is knight c6 here, queen b4, knight c6, queen a4, and now knight to a5. It's a possibility for sure, because if I take, this is already a good position for black. Yeah, I wonder why I didn't play knight c6 in this position. Maybe queen d2, but I'm feeling like after queen d2, knight a5, bishop f6, gf. Yeah, this is a problem. Correct. Queen d2, I think this is the main thing. And I don't have time for knight a5 because bishop f6 is coming. Okay, so I would not go into this game entirely. I lost this game, but I want to just put the concept in the head that when the queen comes to c3, you can play b6, you can put your bishop here, you can play d6, knight d7, c5, rook c8, drop in h6 if the bishop is on g5, push him back, and then try to create pressure down the c file with your bishop and either go for d5 break or e5 break. Lot of arrows on the board, but you understand what I mean. Yeah. Okay. Let's go to the next kind of setup. That so this was like a half weapon which I wanted to give you, and now let's go to a more aggressive system that we have been discussing. This is after queen c2 to castle. Okay, instead of playing b6 here, or you can play castle a3, bishop c3, queen c3, and now b5. This is one of the moves that is my favorites. I learned it from some book. I think it was Gambit or Secret Weapons or something like that. I don't remember exactly. But the point of this move is that you are kind of attacking this pawn, and then if it takes, you want to create more play. Now how should you do that? Black to move. I have already explained this one once in my um, series on improve your chess with imbalances, and this was, I think, the chapter on initiative. This was the one. Kishore Hazarika, thank you so much for your contribution, and says in English Love series you said Mihail said always play g3 after c4, but you are always okay with Samay playing knight c3 after c4. Why so? First of all, Kishore, one point: knight is n, not k, so nc3. I believe that more and more as the time goes by, I've realized that there are many ways to play a good opening, and g3, although suited me and I liked it, nc3 is a perfectly acceptable move. So I don't want to put someone and say play this way. And this is actually my also the philosophy of this opening series. I don't want to tell you this is the only best move in this opening. While it might seem right now to you that why is he not giving us one weapon only, I think you will appreciate it at some point when you become stronger, that if you have more options it's much better. And this is what I have actually started feeling once I became stronger, that if you give me more options, I feel it was lead in development, says Alvin. Okay, that if you give me more options, I feel more comfortable. I can choose whatever I want. It's like going to a supermarket and saying, I want to buy some chips, and there's only one brand available, and everyone says this is the best. You are like, no, but I need more choices. I want to choose one of my best, something like that. All of those who say a6, it's possible, but in this position, c6 is much more popular, and this is the move that I recommend. I will tell you what the main line is, and then I will come to the other stuff. The main line is bishop g5, where white says, okay, I don't want a pawn, I'm not greedy, and he goes bishop g5. I recommend now to take e3, attacking the pawn. So you go bishop b7 because now he can't take the pawn as g2 would hang. So he goes knight f3. This is how I remember this opening. That now he's again attacking the pawn. So I play h6. If he takes, then I can take with the queen. And if he takes on b5, I can take on f3, pawn takes, queen takes, and I recover my pawn with a good position. So that's the reason why h6, he shouldn't take the knight, he should move it back. And now finally the time has come to defend the pawn with a6. There are some games here. I wouldn't go to this extent to say that black is doing better or something. I think it's roundabout equal. Maybe white has a very small edge here, but it doesn't matter. Yeah, you can play your normal chess. I remember that there were some good games here. Let me see. BD3 is the main move, and then you go knight to c6. Oops, not queen takes. So knight c6, and yeah, just this position, if you can look at it a little bit more in depth and try to understand what's going on, I think it's a playable one. Maybe this is the toughest position in this entire opening for black, where he has to be very careful as to how he's going to play. But at the right moment, you can create some play in the position. I have played this several times in internet chess, and yes, he has the bishop pair, but you can always go g5, maybe at some point knight a5, threatening knight b3, and then put your knight on a4. So something like, let's say, g5, bg3, and now knight a5, looking to enter here. So queen e2, and now knight e4. I think this is a playable position for both sides. Just try to analyze this position a little bit more in depth. But the real fun actually happens when white takes the pawn, and this is what you can expect if your opponent doesn't know what to do. Because after knight c6, I believe this is a great position for black. I just love playing it. The thing is that I can play something like bishop b7, rook c8, knight a5. Look at these weak squares, and look at this. This is what I meant when I said that with queen c2 you run the risk of actually being behind in development. Uh, this is the problem. So okay, knight into c6, and then how does he play? Like, let's have a look at one of the games in this section. I think let's look at this game, which is strong player Evgeny Miroshnichenko, who's playing with the black pieces here. So knight f3, and now you go bishop a6. This is logical. e3, knight e4, queen c2, bishop f1, king f1, and now just f5. So the problems remain for a long duration. Now your white has an extra pawn, but his king is still in the center. And so after h4, you go queen a5, knight g5, knight b4, and you can see now the play is being created here. Knight to d5. And in this position, this is a complete victory of black strategy. Rook is coming on the open file. This rook is on the open file. It's just finish here. Queen b6, b4, rook c8, rook c2, rook g3, knight c3, queen c4. I think it was not possible to play queen to g4 for several reasons. Let me see what's the fastest way to win here. Queen b5 I think is interesting. Queen b5, if king g1 knight e2, queen b5, king g1 knight e2. Also, I'm looking at rook into f2, check, That also looks very appetizing, but I was thinking if queen b5, king e1, at the very least I can just defend against the mate and then move in with my queen. So looks deadly. So queen c4, d5, queen into c3, takes, and queen c7 with a nice double attack, and he resigned the game. So that basically shows how things work in this line. I just wanted to not go into theory, but I just want to tell you that once he takes the pawn, you take that with a knight. If he plays e3, then you can play bishop b7, rook c8. Look at knight a5 options so that the knight could jump into this square. Look at knight e4. Maybe you can protect it with f5. Get your queen out on this side or this side. It's just great fun to play this. Okay, so I hope that all of you are able to understand uh, that what's going on in this line. And b5 is definitely one thing that you should keep your eyes on. I faced once a move queen f3 in this. I just want to check. It was not very serious, this move queen f3, but it does attack the rook, and I want to be sure that I suggest you something good. Yeah, the game went knight c6. I think it was against Nehal Bhosle. Takes, knight d4, queen a8, knight c2 check, king d1, knight a1, and I was better. So this is one line which you should have a look at, but black is just close to winning here. Something like queen into a7. Yes, you are some material down, but look at this king. It's just horrible, and you can play e5 with the idea of d6, put the bishop on e6, and you will be better here. There was another thing that I was looking at was cb c6, and I think queen f3 now was played in one game. I think it was my game against GM Raznikov, Danny Raznikov. Let me just pull that up for you. Um, yeah, queen g3 he played. Yeah, this was the move. Let me just see. So d4, knight f6, c4, e6, nc3, bishop b4, queen c2, castles, a3 takes b5, cb c6. This is Raznikov Danny from Israel. He was 2494 then. Now he's already a grandmaster. Queen g3 he played, and here I think I had played knight e4, because if I play CB, bishop h6, knight e8, it's not something that I had liked. I thought white is slightly better. So I went knight e4, and then after queen d3, I played f5 here, but also d5 is very strong. Uh, it's just a matter of actually believing in your development and not worrying about being a pawn down. This position, black has good play, has all the pieces developed, and should be okay. So f5 we played in the game, knight h3, cb, f3, knight d6, maybe just knight f6 was also okay, knight d6, bishop f4, queen b6, e3, bishop a6, and I soon got a good position. Actually, my opponent underestimated here. He played the move bishop into b8, and he thought to himself like, my bishop is not going to be great, because after rook f b8 he played the move king d2, and his point was if he gets king c3 followed by knight f2, sorry knight f4, knight e2, and getting his, somehow he has to get his knight to b4, so something like knight c1, knight a2, knight b4, he would be better. But I was pretty quick here. b5, king c3, bishop b7, knight f2. Yeah, basically knight f4, then I go rook a4, rook h d1, then bishop d5, nice move with the idea of b4, and black is doing very well. So he played knight f2, I played bishop c6, rook h c1, and now your move here. What would you play here as black? Black to move. Yan, even I think queen h4 g3 was possible, right? Yeah, Abhikalp, I will be live mostly during the Chess 960 event, but not sure. The point is, black wants to keep this bind on the dark square, so you need to break it. And how do you do it? Yes, very good. All those who mentioned Rook A4, Shalom Anthony, Suja Biju, Chess Master, Prathamesh Khandwe, Vandana Yash Bharadia, very good job, guys. Rook A4 is absolutely right. You want to play B4 next, and you want to create play. My opponent played King D2 and offered a draw. I did not accept it. I played on, and I got a winning position actually. He can't take on A4 because first Rook B2, so he took B4, and here I went wrong, but in the end the game ended in a draw. I should have won it. Okay, so that was all about B5 move here. This is one aggressive weapon that I want to give you against Queen C2. And now for the last and a solid weapon against this system, that will be the move D5. You know, this is something which helps you because you don't need to prepare for the move E4 here, and D5 is just very solid move. Um, Strikes in the center and gives black a fine position. Uh, Karthik says after c6 earlier, white can play a4 and then your b8 knight is hindered. You mean in this position, a4? Um, Not really. I mean, I would say I can take, or I can first play bishop b7, and actually this is creating a lot of weaknesses in the position. Also, you must look at ideas like knight e4 followed by queen a5 check. That could be very dangerous. So you can't really be behind in development and make moves like this. Bishop b7 would be very strong. Okay, so coming back to d5, I want to show you a couple of games here. One, two, three, these three, and yeah. So knight f6, c4, nc3, bishop b4, queen c2, d5, and there are two moves here. One is cd, ed, and bishop g5, and the other one is a3. So we'll look at both of them. So if he plays cd, ed, bishop g5, then I would play the move c5. This is what I recommend. I know that this this class today is a little bit complex. There are not too many questions that I'm asking, but it's kind of a critical line, and I want you guys to know what is the best way to play it. So that's the reason why it could be slightly difficult, but I think if you observe it, you will learn something. E3, CD, ED. Actually, instead of e3, dc5 is the main move here, but let's look at e3. This game actually was very critical for me because it helped me make my second GM norm. My opponent was playing here I'll come to the important moment. He played bishop h4, and what would you play here as black? I mean, you can see that there is white has put his bishop here, the other bishop went here, but black has good development. So how would you continue? Yes, and Alvin said, I don't like to play with an isolated pawn. Some players don't like, even I'm not a big fan, but sometimes you just should play it, because as Tarash said once, if you don't like to play with IQP or a isolated queen pawn, you should not play chess. It's a normal position. It gives activity in return, opens up your bishop, so you should definitely try it out. It's important. Yeah, Tinku Saha queen b6 is what I played in the game, but turns out it's not a great move. Madhav Ramanathan, you can't take that pawn. Your knight is pinned. Knight into d4 is not possible. Nikhil says knight f4. Nikhil what? Knight e4 you mean? Castles, Jayant Bhaumik, Narayan Manikam. Very good. Yeah, castles is what I should have played here. Because now after knight e2, queen b6, castles, bishop takes, knight d4, I am at least winning a pawn. It's not forced, but sort of this was better. I played queen b6 directly, which was not good. He took on f6. I took on b5 because I didn't really want to play gf, takes 92 when I think white is better. Look at my pawns. They are not so great. So I took on b5 and then he took another pawn, played rook g8, he took another pawn, and I was so stressed out here because I was playing a great event and I needed to win this game to make sure I win my GM norm, and I was already 2 pawns down. But I didn't give up and I took on g2, 1 pawn back, bishop e6, queen b3, kept the queens on, that was important, rook g7, a4, queen a5, rook b1, b6, bd2, bishop f5 attacking the rook, king d7, and now you can see suddenly I have some great control on the light squares in the position, and his king is kind of toasted in the center. Bishop e4, rook f1, rook e8, bishop e3, king c6, king e2, knight c4, and I'm going to come to a moment in this game, knight f6, and I want you to find the winning move for black. It's a nice finishing move which I missed in the game. I was not very happy when I missed it, but my opponent gave me another chance very soon. Anushka Bhatt, yes, you can uh, register for today's online tournament, BKT tournament. It's still open. Black to move. Yes, Anubhav Gupta, very good move. Excellent. Arun Dikshit, very good. That's the right move. You are absolutely right. Good to see you, Arun. I didn't know that you were here. Maybe I was not seeing you from couple of days. Neela Gavi, if you want to register for BKT Online Blitz, the link is in the description. Please do so. Raiz Ahmed Khan, well done. Shivam Chaudhary, good job. Baku Choku, good move. Yash Gore, you are right. Padmesh, excellent. The right move is bishop to d3 check. Brilliant move. If king goes to f3, I believe there can be many ways to get an advantage. I was looking at rook into e3 perhaps, but king g2, bishop f1, king f1, rook e6. Yeah, because if you take here, I can take here with an extra piece, and if you take on g2, then bishop f1 attacks. Uh, no, not this way. This would be bad. Wait, thinking bishop f1, knight e8. Maybe that should work. Yeah, bishop f1, knight e8, and now rook g6, trapping the knight sort of. I guess this should be good. Yeah, or here, yeah, knight. Well, my rook is hanging here, and also knight is hanging. Any suggestions here for a good move? Bishop f1, knight e8. If I take here, he takes here. Yeah, king d3 loses, by the way, to rook into e3. This was the point, and now this is a pretty checkmate. This is what I should have done. But I'm looking at king f3. Knight e3. Knight e3, then just knight e8. Possible. Yeah, this is a possibility. Like bishop f1, knight e8, then play knight into e3, or maybe first rook g8, knight here, rook g6, knight takes. Okay, there's a check here. I don't know. I'm just thinking that you can use this to your advantage. Knight e3 and bishop b5 in some positions. Rook e3 and bishop f1. Yeah, king f3. Just take on e3, fe3 and bishop f1. Yeah, you are a piece up. I'm sorry. Okay. So here bishop d3, king d3, rook e3 is just winning. And rook e6 I played in the game. So here once again I was better, but there could be a long fight, but he made this blunder, and now you know what to do here. Black to move and win. Black to move and win. How should black win this position? Yes, Neela Gavi, you are right. Dipankar Kamble, also right. Reshma Dulgaj, you are right. Tinku Saha, yes, absolutely. And so I managed to win this game, which was kind of critical for me to make my norm. And after rook into e3, fe3, rook d2, it was a pretty mate. So this was basically the move d5, which I recommended here. And if your opponent plays a3, then you can take and play c5, which will look now. But if your opponent plays cd, ed, bg5, then you go c5, and this was e3, which is not the best move, because now you can take knight c6 and castles here, which gives black a fine position. The main move is, of course, dc5, when you can play h6, bishop h4. The point of h6 now and not before this is because if you play h6, I can take and play this solid system. But once you play c5 and he plays dc, then there is no solid system, because taking here already gives black very good activity. There is a lot of pressure on c3. Bishop h4, castles, and the idea is pretty simple here. What I want to do is I want to put my bishop on e6, knight to d7, rook c8, and take on c5. And this gives black a very good position. Yes, it's an isolated pawn here, but well, you have to learn how to play with it. It's not always like isolated pawn is bad. You can play knight d7, rook c8, take with the rook also on c5, and that would be good. Okay, so just moving on. Give me a second. Okay. So I would like to say that this line with d5, you, if your opponent plays cd, you take ed, and then when he goes bishop g5, you play c5. If he plays e3, you know, takes knight c6, then h6, castles, and so on. But if he plays dc5 here, then now you play h6, ask him the question, then play castles, put your bishop on e6. By the way, long castle is a very extreme move that was played in one of the games. I don't think it's a great move. Um, you can figure it out what to do, but e3 is the main move, bishop e6, knight d7, followed by rook c8, and then you win this pawn and play this position. Okay. If a3, then you take, and in the spirit of the position, play the move c5. This is a very strong move. The point being that the queen is a little exposed. If it takes on dc, you can play d4. If it takes on d5, then you can take on d4 and just kind of expose the queen. So for example, you take on d5, I take on d4, you take here, I jump with the knight. I'm very quick in development. I can take on d5, and that's how it is. But dc5 is the main move here. Now I went d4. By the way, a big thanks to Wajdan Tanveer, who's contributed, and he says, "Hi Sagar Bhai, just wanted to thank you for all of the time you spend on sharing your knowledge." Thank you so much, Wajdan. Yeah, it's been like someone wrote, "Am I streaming all the time?" And I also feel so. Yeah, like morning I wake up, I'm streaming with Samai, then right now the opening class morning it's improve your chess with Samai, and then in the evening there is often some stream, and then yesterday night there was one very interesting four-player chess stream with Tanmay Bhatt. So I four streams in a day, that's unthinkable. I used to do like one stream in 4 days. Now it's like four streams in one day. Can't believe what's happened. But thank you all for attending it, and this because you guys attend it and you learn from it and you support it, it feels nice to do this. Alvin Bertusen says, I play with isolated pawn, but I often go wrong. How to improve that? Well, look at some aggressive games. Also, don't fear it. Just play freely, just don't worry about it. Remove those inhibitions in your mind and look at some good games. I think this book, Winning Pawn Structures by Alex Baburin, is a good book on isolated queen pawn. Okay, the thumbnail story is um, I'm there with an ice cream in that story, so there's not big thumbnail story. But the thing is that whenever I go to Europe, in any country, most of the times, the ice creams are just tremendous. I don't know if anyone here also agrees with me, but I eating ice creams is one of my biggest attractions going to any European country, be it Vienna. I loved the ones over there, Budapest, uh, or Leiden, Dieren. I mean, all the cities in Europe have wonderful ice creams, milk based and very original, fresh ones. And so I'm there. And so my story is, if you go to Europe and you play some event there or you are there, do eat some ice creams. Yeah, they are the best. Okay, so d4, and now if queen c2, you play e5. Once again, you just don't worry about the extra pawns here, because the main aim is that you have been able to develop all your pieces, and that's the most important thing. Rook e8, d3 was a nice move, because if bishop takes, then I have e4, queen c3, e4, and bishop f5. And okay, black has a good position, but in general the thing which you should remember is that if your opponent here plays the move a3, you can take and play c5. If he plays cd, then you can take and play c5. That's the main point. Okay, last line which we should look at is definitely after castles e4. But if you're playing d5 move here, then you avoid this move e4. So castles e4, and I recommend a very solid approach. I have played c5 in this position. I also played d6, but I like d5 because it's just the most solid move. E5 is kind of the forced move. Then you jump in to e4, and after bishop d3, c5. Jan Murdoch says, thank you for doing this. I used to not know what to play to d4. Now I will try the uh, Nimzo. Yeah, that's one of the reason to do this. Uh, there's one very nice game in this which I want you to have a look at. It's between Ho Yifan is black, and that's the one which we can have a look at. Ushanina versus Ho Yifan. So e4, d5, e5, knight e4, bd3, and now c5. It's important to strike in the center. White has no time to take here because after take this is hanging. And by the way, just observe this structure, these four pawns here, and try to see what's going on. It's a little bit complex situation, but if you think about it, you will realize that black is threatening to take on d4. Taking on d5 makes no sense. I'll just recapture back, and I'm going to put more pressure either by knight c6 or knight d7. So white's main move here is either ne2 or nf3. It's both the same because I'm going to take on d4 and knight d4, and we reach this position. And here I would say try to think of a good move for black. Try to think, because for people for whom this position is new, it can be quite tough to think of possibilities. Black to move. Okay, I do understand what slow mode is now. You can delay the time between two messages. So I'll look into it later and maybe try what to do. Yes, knight d7, Suryan Shwarma, good move. Queen a5, possible move. It's not such a silly move. Queen a5. What shall we do to this move? It's a possible move. I'm thinking of and db5 as one possible move here, because yeah, but it's complicated. uh, I think queen a5 has been played in some of the games, possibly castles is played, yeah, castles. And bishop c3, and I could go back knight b3 and then pick up this, and I think white is better there. Okay, let me just make it 100% sure that queen a5 is not a good move. Just check once. Queen a5, castles is the best move here, not ndb5. And after bishop c3, you could play nb3, which is also a strong move, but also b into c3 is good, because after take on c3, this is not possible because of bishop into e4. And of course knight c3 would be bad because of bd2 and you lose material. Okay, got it. So coming back to the game, the main move here is actually knight to d7, not knight c6, which looks like the main move, but uh, knight d7, because now the knight cannot be taken and it attacks the e5 pawn. That's the main point. So now white has kind of two options. One is bishop f4, actually just one, yeah, because f4 already doesn't seem right. You can just jump in with a check, and he can't play g3 because of knight takes g3. So overall, uh, bishop f4 is the main move. And now you see another advantage of developing the knight on d7 is that you can jump to c5 with the knight, attacking the bishop, castles, and now you take, And the move which I recommend now is the move bishop d7. It's a very solid option. You can check a few games. Hoyifan, Ushanina versus Hoyifan is the main one. Uh, and yeah, black is doing pretty okay. He has the option of taking on d3, and after bishop e2, just knight a4. Now putting pressure on c3, cd, cd, c4, and now rook c8. It's all played before, but is very logical. dc4, bishop c4, and now comes knight c3, with black starting to have very good pieces, some big threats in the position. I would recommend that if you can just have a look at this position in more detail, that would be nice. But overall, black is doing fine. Here like a4 was played, which was a blunder. Came bishop a4, rook a4, knight a4, knight f5 because this is hanging here. So queen a4 here, queen b4, and now what do you play here as white? As black? How to win this position? Jan Murdoch, if knight d7, bishop e4, d e4, queen e4, knight c5. I think that should be a good way to play. Or queen a5. Yeah, queen a5 looks better. Okay, just to make it clear here for Yan, if in this position, instead of bishop f4, if he takes here, then you can take and play queen a5, attacking here, and also the e5 pawn. So we were looking at this position, take, knight c3, a4, takes, and I was asking you why can't he take here? What is the move? All of you who say queen d4, don't you feel that bishop f7 and you lose a queen? Well, I hope you saw through my trap, because after rook f7 takes, there is this check and you win back the queen. So that's how it works. Yeah, that's a winning move. Queen d4. In the game, knight f5 was played, but you are already now material down. And Hoyifan didn't have to be asked twice to convert this into a win. Very powerful pieces, and also threat is now knight e2, followed by knight f4 or winning the queen. Too many things happening. Okay, so let's just recap whatever we learned today. It was quite a heavy lecture, but we looked at d4, knight f6, c4, e6, nc3, bishop b4. And after queen c2, the first thing I recommended to you is to play castles, a3, take, b6, with the idea of bishop b7 or bishop a6, d6, knight d7, c5, rook c8, put pressure here. Okay, one system for you to learn. Second one is, if you don't like playing that way, you can play a3, takes, and b5. This is very active way to play. And after cb, you can play c6 and get a lot of play. Although you must prepare bishop g5 in good detail. Don't expect all your opponents to take on c6. Now, bishop c3, queen c3, b5 is what I recommend. The other way to play is, instead of castle, you go d5 straight away, uh, cd, then ed, bishop g5, then c5. This is one way. The idea is to, if he takes, you play h6, bishop h4, castles, bishop e6, knight d7, rook c8, and win back the pawn. This is a solid way to play. And if instead of this he plays cd, ed, bishop g5, c5, e3, then you know you to take, and knight c6, followed by h6 sometimes, castles, queen b6 later on, gives black good play. a3 should be met with bishop c3, queen c3, and c5. And lastly, we saw that if castles, then e4, then d5, e5, knight e4, bd3, c5, knight e2, or knight f3, doesn't matter, cd, knight d4, knight d7, uh, and yeah. Well, Jan Murdoch, you said here takes and castles, but just knight e5 is hanging, and there are so many problems. You can just figure it out. You can't take on e4 for an advantage, so you must castle. Sorry, you must play bishop f4, protecting this. Now knight c5, and after castling, you take, and play bishop d7 when black is doing fine. Okay, so these are all the lines that work. And now let me just check. Everyone says I'm looking weird. I know I was looking weird, but let me see if I can remove this. Then how do I look? Do I look better now or worse? It's not bad, but I like the ghost feel. Yeah. Okay, guys, heavy lecture, lot of learning. I hope that I didn't kill you today. What did we learn today? We learned a lot. Let me see if I can put this into words. Let's make this smaller so that we have space. Just creating some space for what did we learn today. Okay, so let me get text 20 day 4. Yeah, make some space for today's. What did we learn? People say I like Ghost Saga. Anushka, thanks for registering for BKT tournament. Well, all those who want to do it, today is now last few hours left. I think 12 was the last time, but maybe it's extended until 1 p.m. You can register for BKT event, which is Chess 960, and play it online. The link is in the description. Okay, what did we learn? First of all, we learned a solid system with b6, d6, bishop b7, or bishop a6. Make it smaller, so bishop a6, knight bd7, c5, rook c8. Next, we also learned an aggressive system with b5, c into b5, c6. And also Another solid system with fourth move d5, where you either get to play with the isolated pawn, or you need to sacrifice c5 pawn and play d4 e5. You know this line where you play d5 a3 bishop c3 queen c3 c5 dc d4, that way. And lastly, if white goes for e4 lines, then you go for d5 e5 knight e4, followed by c5 knight bd7 to c5, and then bishop d7, and black has a fine position. This is Hoyifan game, Ushanina versus Hoyifan, just so that you remember. By the way, I have updated homework for yesterday. I had done it a little late, but now it's there. So in case you want to download it, please do so. Third point. Save this one. I hope you learned a lot. By the way, a big thanks to Nikhil Mascara for taking care of the stream as a moderator. It was his first day today, but I think you did a good job, Nikhil. Thank you so much for doing that. Uh, Okay, Pushkar Patel, thank you, boss. Very informative and good going. Salute to your efforts and dedication to Indian chess family. This expands our vision and changes mindset. Lots of good wishes for you and ma'am. Thank you so much. Um, Thank you, Pushkar. The streams are different. Kind of morning is more where I teach. Don't have to prepare much, but for these streams, I have to prepare a lot. And they are advanced, so I know that there will be less people viewing this. But I think those who watch it will definitely learn a lot from that. So thank you. And Sujata Shastri, thank you. Anushka Bhatt as well. I have a small news. Tomorrow will be a holiday. Sunday, I want to take off from this. I just want to take some time, and I'll be back on Monday at 11 a.m. So tomorrow there won't be any streaming at 11 o'clock for my opening sessions, but we'll be back on Monday. Okay. So I'll see you guys, and let's meet tonight, I think, for the BKT Blitz, and then on 24th evening there's a very nice show on Saemisch channel where blind chess players will come to play, visually impaired chess players. So I'll join you there as well. And then on 25th we'll be back with our opening training. Thank you, Raj Blocks, for all your kind words. Reginald Robinson, thank you. Girish Bachikar, thank you so much. CBSV, also thank you for your kind words. Wonderful. See you guys, and thank you for staying there right until the very end. Bye bye.